G'day car enthusiasts, this is the BMW X4. We're having a look at this today as I've got it for a couple of days whilst my car is getting serviced. I've never driven an X4, but I gotta admit, I really enjoy this thing. I really enjoy sitting higher, of course, and you can see why the SUVs are selling so well. But not only that, when these cars first came out, I hated this lowered tailgate, but I actually think it's quite good now. And I'm looking at some of the other reviews, a lot of people get excited about the shape. I didn't, but many things seem to change once you actually get quite closer to it. I guess it's like a relationship with anything, you sort of can fall in love, just like those arranged marriages. I have an arranged drive here with this beast of a car. First of all, I'll point out what's interesting is with the surround view, this camera here at the front, I would note that that would pick up a lot of bugs. So if you're going on a long drive and you got some bugs that hit straight at the front of the car, that would actually cover up that camera. And I'd imagine over time that camera would get some chips on it and scratches. It's right at the front of the car. The only way around that, of course, would be to put some type of mechanical function on it where it folded out, as you see in some of the cars where the camera folds out from underneath the badge, and that's yet another thing to go wrong. But if you've got the car for a short term, that is 2 to 3 years, I don't think it would matter. But overall, I think that would make a difference. I hate this on cars, how they're doing these fake vents. There is no actual vent that goes in there, but they need the car to look good. This is the M Sports, and in the M Sports, you have this more aggressive grille at the front with bigger fake vents. You've got the driving fog lights here, and these have nice LED lights. These aren't road tracking, but I do actually like the front of this car. If it was mine, I would actually make that grille black. Over to the wheels, we have 245 45 19s, so these 19-inch rims, they look quite nice. You've got a bit more profile here, of course, because you need a little bit more travel with these cars. It's a bit of a hybrid in the sense that it's off-road and on-road. The clearance on this is really good. What I do like about getting in and out of it is the height. It's easy to get in and out of, and I think that's why these cars are becoming quite popular. Things that jumped out at me also when I was washing the car was this little rubber strip here. I reckon over time this rubber strip here would just be destroyed in the sun because it's facing straight up. Let's check out the boot. So this has the automatic tailgate, which is quite handy. It's easy to put things in and out of, and you've got these rails here where you can attach anchor points and nets over it, and a nice big bin down here. And also in here you've got the standard 12 volt, like a cigarette lighter, so charge something in the back there. That's pretty handy. And a couple of anchor points here, and a hook that is quite handy here. I like this, so if you want to hang a bag, those type of things are important in this type of car. Remember, this is the daily driver. Also a little cargo net there, and behind here you've got access to your emergency triangle, and also this is the towing bolt that you'd use when you need to tow the car. You take this panel off here, and then you screw that in there, and then you can tow the car. And you could do the same at the front as well. And you've also got this for your wheels, and that's your key. So if you've never driven one of these cars and you need to change a tyre, mind you, they have run flats, but if you need to change a wheel, that's where those points are. Here we have this little parcel shelf that comes off. You can see here there is actually nowhere to put it, but it does fit in there quite comfortably. With these types of cars, sometimes that's an issue. Where the hell do you put it? But I'll tell you what I don't like about this. The other day when I folded the seat down, which I'll do right now for you, if we pull this down here and I put that down there, there really is quite a big storage area. It's not completely flat, but it's not too bad. But when I put this up, watch what happens. So it actually knocks this off. Now you could say it'd be more gentle, but you know, it wasn't particularly rough, and it just doesn't seem to sit in properly. I don't know what the go is there. That's just cheap, and in any other car it wouldn't bother me, but this is a BMW, and this is the only thing that makes me angry in this car. Showing the boot, we have the automatic tailgate, which is always a handy feature, and you can actually do that from inside the vehicle. So sitting in the back of the car, I'm 6'3". If I sit in here, legroom's not too bad. Dog thinks he's coming as well. These little indents here gives just a little bit more room with the legs, but this seat over here, that's my driving position. So if you had a tall driver driving through, it's a bit tight. Remember, it is an X4, so it's based on the 3 series of the X3, and in comes the dog. Dino, you shouldn't be in here. That's really tight. And my head, I'm pushing against the roof. I can't actually fit in the back of this car. How about you, Dino? You alright? So he's alright in there. How's your headroom, Dino? Okay, so in these cars, in the X3, the door is a bit shorter, but you have massive bins down here. These bins are pretty handy. And of course, the cargo net's here. And if you want to fold down these seats, again on the other side, you have that 60-40 split. So you could, in fact, just put down part of the seat there. And the seat belts don't get in the way. Sometimes in some of these cars, when you actually fold down these seats, the seat belt gets in the way. But that doesn't happen here. Beautiful double stitching here, absolutely gorgeous all the way around. Noting this is the M Sports, so they have done a really nice job there. Into the front seat, again, big door bins at the front, so you can fit massive water bottles in there. And there's also cup holders in the center divider over there. Pretty standard panel here, and this is the automatic tailgate. If you push down, it'll open, and if you want the tailgate to shut, you need to pull and hold it. And it won't let me do it because I'm not in the car. If I get in the car, pull and hold, then it will shut. It's a safety feature there. So looking through here, we have the sunroof, and again, what's good about the BMWs is most of them have the solid sunroof. That's not one of these cheap stockings. I'm not a big fan of sunroofs because I think they add weight, reduce headroom, and on that, I wonder if we didn't have a sunroof in here, if I would have had more headroom in the back. That is possible because whenever you get a sunroof and this has to go back, it's got to go somewhere and it goes into the roof. So we have the microphones for your hands-free audio, and this is very good in the BMW. What I love about Beamers is kind of the stuff that you can't see. So not just that microphone itself, but the actual noise reduction when you're driving. So of course they're trying to get rid of these because of now the 2019 models, which is a different interior and a different body. Number one thing I don't like about this vehicle, and I'm sure I could change the feature, but I'm not new to BMWs. When I put this into reverse and it goes into the reverse camera, normally over on this function here, I can make it so it's bird's eye view. And when I say I make it, it's bird's eye view, it'll always be bird's eye view. But for some reason, it keeps reverting back just to the rear camera. So I have to slot over here, press that button, and then I get my bird's eye. And you'll see that that left bird's eye is not working because that door is open there. But when that door is shut, you have this beautiful seamless stitching between the cameras here, all around here, and they've done a really good job. And BMW led this the whole way. Well done, BMW. But of course they've gone on to the next generation of that. So that drives me nuts that I can't actually put that back. I'll give an example. I'm in reverse now, so I'll put it into park by pressing park. And so I pretend I've just driven around, and now I want to go into reverse again. As you can see, when I go into reverse, it reverts back to that camera. And I don't want it in that camera, I want it in the bird's eye. It keeps going back. If anyone can leave in the comments below, how do I stop it going to that reverse camera when I want it in the bird's eye camera every time? And again, I'm not new to Beamers, I've been driving these for years. And in my car, once you set it, it just keeps going to whatever you set it. If you set it at the reversing camera, every time you go into reverse, it'll go to the reverse camera. And if you set it in bird's eye, every time you go to reverse, it'll go to bird's eye. But this car doesn't do that, so who knows what's going on. Okay, down onto the center console. Here we can see open up. I think BMW needs to get rid of this. We're kind of over it, guys, and because it just takes up space. It's a big bit of plastic. The idea is that you buy a certain charge port here, typically for iPhone, because BMW has a relationship with iPhone, and you can drop your iPhone in there. But because everyone has phone covers, you have to take your phone cover off to put it in there. So it actually doesn't serve any purpose except for taking up space. And the other issue, of course, is not everyone uses an iPhone. I don't use an iPhone. I don't want to be part of the Apple Corporation. So, but I like BMWs, but I'm kind of in this conundrum of dealing with this big chunky piece of plastic that serves no purpose because I'll never own an iPhone. And even if I did, the phone would have a cover on it, so I'd never be able to use it. So let it go, BMW. And the other thing, of course, is that this is typically a charging port, and if you've got a wireless charging station, you just drop your phone here. So again, this is prehistoric technology, but of course, now that they're getting rid of these cars, being a 2018 version, and now they have the 2019, it'd be interesting to see if they finally let go of this nonsense here. Into the storage bin, USB cable. I've got this plugged in just for charging my phone at the moment, not actually to connect, although I could connect music in there through the iDrive system. 3.5mm female port and another 12-volt cigarette lighter charging port in there. Always good to have lots of ports. And then we got another one here, another cigarette lighter charging port there. Very handy indeed. They're good to have. BMW still has the CD drive here, and remember this drive is also used when you want to update your navigation. You put the new CD in there. These aren't radio stations if you're not familiar with this. This is an adaptation, a evolution if you will, to the iDrive system. The first iDrive only had the shuttle wheel, the jog wheel, then they had the shortcut keys, and then they went a step further and made these shortcut keys that can be programmable. If you want, it could be a radio station, but as an example, I have number 4 as bass, so when I press 4, the bass comes up here, so I can adjust the bass. But I could do it for oil level, call the wife, my favorite radio station, and other things could also be Bluetooth or whatever you want. Moving on, auto start stop, pretty common feature here. A little bit of trivia here. In some BMWs this is mounted vertically, and in others like this it's mounted horizontally. And over to the storage bin, that being the glove box, or you say glove compartment in the States. Nothing too flash there, quite standard with a light in there. Here's some weird or interesting BMW engineering. If we go to the vanity mirror, now this clip is very handy. So if I open this, the light will come on. That's nothing flash, that's pretty standard in all cars. But if I push the visor all the way forward, then it turns off. So I don't know if that's a mistake. It's not a bad mistake, because if you push it all the way the light goes, or it's BMW engineering, but it's quite amazing that the attention to detail, that if I push it all the way forward the light goes off, if I pull it back, and of course if I shut this, as I get to that point it turns off there. So there's 3 ways to turn off the light. Pull it up this way, push it all the way forward, or actually shut the mirror. Down to the controls. This cluster display is quite dated now, and when this first came out in BMWs it was cutting edge stuff, but now it's getting a little bit old and dated, but still works beautifully, simple to understand. And if you want to change through the screens here, you've got your little BC onboard computer that you can flick through and change some of the visuals there, as you can see here. And this car also has the feature of picking up what the speed limit is and displaying it on that display there. Also has a digital compass, which is not common in Australia. I know for the European and American viewers, compasses are quite standard, but not in Australia. I think they should be. I think they're really handy, but they're typically not, and I really like the way it comes up there. It looks quite Gucci indeed. Here we see on this version there are no heated seats. Normally here these would be heated and cooled seats, but these are actually blank slot, and this hasn't been optioned with those heated or cooled seats, but it still has a dual climate control here. As you can see, you can just set whichever temperature you want. And of course this is the new surround protection, where you can turn it off. You have collision warning, pedestrian alert, lane departure warning, and lane change warning. In the new models this will be touchscreen, but in this one it's not. I don't mind, I don't like touchscreen because it just leaves fingerprints everywhere. And more importantly, I don't want a system where I'm reaching so far forward. Little work here. This little shelf here is quite good. They've taken it away from BMWs. They brought it in and took it away and put it back in. I like it because when you've got anything like a card, yes, there's a spot up here for your card, but if you've got another card that you want to drop in here, just temporarily, say a parking pass, a parking ticket, you can drop your ticket right here and you don't lose it, and it's very good access. I really like that. But of course that could be taken away in different versions. Alright, let's take a quick look at the engine before we go on to drive. Look at that. Quite noisy under here. Here we have the 2-litre turbo diesel. They say it's a twin power turbo. That's not a twin turbo, it's a twin scroll turbo. And signature to the BMWs and most modern cars now, you can see that they're really pushing the engine as far back as possible. That's quite a distance between here and the front of the car, and of course that helps with the centre of gravity, really pushing that engine as far back as possible. Windscreen washer fluid is nice and accessible. Let's face it guys, it's not a performance car, it is essentially a 3 Series turned into an X3, then changed into an X4 with a drop back. The problem with the 2 litres is they are quite rattly, but it is what it is. It's pretty good on juice and very torquey. We'll show that in a minute. Let's shut that down. The good insulation on the bonnet really shuts it up a fair bit. Last thing I'll point out is the exhaust. It's only a single exhaust at the back with the oval shape. It's not too bad. Remember, it's a 2 litre. This is something that really annoys me in the BMWs. This used to be an indicator and it looked good, but then they moved the side indicator up to here in the rear view mirror. Now that was important in some countries' standards, but the problem is they've just filled this with a blank panel, and that doesn't look good to me. That looks cheap. If you're spending nearly $100,000 on a car and you just put a blank panel in here with a cheap bit of chrome, well, I would have much rather they didn't put the indicator up here. They left the indicator here, because remember, you knock that off, that's going to cost, I'm guessing, over $1,000 for a new rear view mirror. Not only because it's electric and folding mirror, but it's also got now an indicator in there. You've also got the Connect drive up here. And poor Dino thinks he's going for a drive. Sorry buddy, we're not going for a drive, and I'll have to clean the seats now that you've climbed up on them. What do you think of it? Alright? Come on boy. Come on. Here's the dog test. Come on. He likes the car. Mind you, that's the first time he's been in it, and I'll have to wipe the seats now. But I will say this about the BMWs. When it comes to their leather seats, in my BMW, I use my cars for a daily driver. That is, although my car is a 6 Series, I don't hold back on its daily use. If I need to put the dog in there, the dog comes along because he's my mate. So I can testify that these cars are very good in the leather. That even with this dog, I've got a cover down, but even with that cover, there's sometimes that he'll get onto the seats, and the seats are very hard wearing. So well done BMW to that.